Joe Biden and Donald Trump have gone head-to-head for the last time before the U.S. election on the 3rd of November in the final television debate. The incumbent, who failed to land any knockout blows to revive his faltering campaign, could only venture that the virus would go away. Biden had to field aggressive questioning about his son's business dealings. Live now to D.C. It's early in the morning, and there's correspondent Simon Marks. Good afternoon to you, Simon. It was a lot more muted than last time, wasn't it? What's the conventional wisdom? Was there a winner?
I'm not sure there's a conventional wisdom that there was a single winner among the candidates, but there was certainly a winner in the form of the American public, Jeremy. There's no question about that, because this was a much more substantive debate than that first knockdown brawl that we witnessed last month. And in many ways, Donald Trump was a completely different person. I mean, he showed up, he was calmer, he was much more serious, he was much more focused on policy than he was during debate number one. The mute button was used during those opening 2 minutes for each segment, but the moderator wasn't able to use it during the rest of the debate and almost didn't need to. There were very few moments where these two men were walking over one another. The American public was presented with a stark difference in tone, in style, and in policy between these two political leaders. Donald Trump relentlessly attacking Joe Biden for having failed to address all the issues that he now says he's going to address during a 47-year career in public service here in Washington. President Trump taking a diversion down the track of questioning, Donald Trump taking that diversion and questioning Joe Biden's probity and accusing him of corruption and leading an organized crime family based on those allegations that were voiced by the New York Post a few days ago. Joe Biden, by contrast, saying time and again and addressing his message directly to camera, look, this is a battle for the character of the country and a battle for the character of the president. You know me, he said to the American voters, and you know him. And his underlying message was that Donald Trump doesn't tell the truth and that Donald Trump is an out-and-out racist. At one point, Joe Biden saying, your dog whistle is louder than a foghorn. And that may end up being one of the lines for which last night's debate is best remembered.
To which Trump replied, peering into the dark, he was the least racist person in the room.
The least racist person in the room, and the President of the United States who has done more for black Americans than anyone else, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. He always leaves open the chink of possibility that Abraham Lincoln, who of course brought slavery to an end in the United States, might have just done a little bit more for the black community than Donald Trump did. Look, I mean, on that issue, and particularly on the issue of immigration, there were some pretty brutal exchanges. We learned earlier this week that 545 children separated by the Trump administration from their parents as they crossed the border illegally into the United States. They can't be reunited with their parents because the Trump administration can't find those parents. Joe Biden absolutely took that issue to Donald Trump and indicated that it was completely indicative of a complete lack of care about humanity. Equally, President Trump, on the issue of COVID-19, facing down a virus that has now killed more than 220,000 Americans, insisted, we've turned the corner, it is simply going to go away, once again voicing that claim that COVID-19 will just go away. Well, we've woken up here to statistics that have just been published showing that yesterday, on debate day itself, the United States reported a single-day record of 77,640 new cases. And that definitely feeds into the Democrats' narrative that Joe Biden voiced extensively during last night's debate, that Donald Trump needs to be held responsible for the scale of the catastrophe that has been unleashed by COVID-19 on the United States, and that only Joe Biden has a national plan to try and combat the pandemic. And it was evident last night that Donald Trump agrees he has no national plan. Indeed, he says it's up to the individual 50 states to decide how to mitigate the problem.
It was a little more tasteful, a little more muted, as I mentioned, maybe a little bit more polite, but we now really are into the final stretch. I imagine that that was a pause, that the rhetoric is going to intensify in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, unless Donald Trump had a character transplant on his way to Nashville, Tennessee, I think we can safely assume that we will revert to type today and over the weekend. And the biggest problem Donald Trump faces are the numbers. 48 million Americans have already cast their votes. They don't care what either of those candidates had to say last night, because for them this election is already over. Now, in 2016, there were 130 million Americans who participated in the entire election. So roughly between a third and a half of that number have already participated in 2020. So for them, Donald Trump's new calmness displayed during that debate comes too late. They can't change their votes now, even if they wanted to. And with 48 million Americans having already voted, there's a dwindling number of undecided voters out there that Donald Trump can possibly hope to bring to his corner to turn around the loss that the polls indicate that he is about to suffer. Now, he may have brought some of those voters over to his corner last night. Maybe these attacks on Joe Biden's character, for which Joe Biden had very, very few comprehensive answers last night, other than to insist that Donald Trump is simply spreading Russian misinformation. Well, we don't know if it's misinformation or if it's verifiable information. It's way too late in this process for that issue to be resolved before Election Day. I mean, it may be that some of Donald Trump's attacks landed last night and he won some additional support from that very small number of floating voters. But my guess is there will be Republicans waking up this morning saying, why did he wait until now to be relatively focused and relatively disciplined? Why has he not been doing that for weeks and weeks and weeks in a bid to try and disassemble the policy plans and the arguments that Joe Biden has been bringing to the public?
All right, Simon Marks, talk to you next week. Thank you very much indeed. Live in DC.